In January of 2001, I was 22 years old. I was coming home from my first day at a new job. Hadn't worked in a few months, and I was driving home. I pulled into the driveway, leaned down to pick up some trash off the floor, and as I came back up into sitting position, I heard somebody say, "Get out of the car." And so I turned around to look, and there was 4 police officers holding guns to my head. So I stepped out of the car. They put cuffs on me, and as they did, drug task force agents came out of everywhere with ski masks and rifles and made their way into my house. My drug addiction had caught up with me. I had sold drugs as a way to support my habit, and had sold to an undercover officer 4 times. And so that day I found myself facing 7 Class A felonies and 87 years in prison. So my family was absolutely devastated. My education was down the tubes. I had a degree in criminal justice. I have a degree in criminal justice that I knew I was not going to be able to use anymore. And my future was totally uncertain. I was scared. I had no idea what to do. And so over the next 11 months, I struggled to stay sober. In order to be out on bail, I had to do weekly drug tests, and I don't even know how I passed half of them, but in October I failed one. And they gave me a choice. You can wait for the police to come get you, and you can await your sentencing in jail, or you can find your way into a rehab immediately. And so the next morning I left for rehab. I spent 7 months there, and my parents had helped me get a really good lawyer, and it still was looking like I probably wasn't going to do less than 5 to 10 years in prison. And it was in that time at rehab that they told me there was a higher power. And so I started to open up a little bit to that idea, and God just met me where I was at. He spoke to me in the ways He knew I would hear, and He used my fear and my pain to break into my heart. And my husband, Matt and I met in rehab, and I left for jail in May of 2002, and about 2 weeks after I was there, I found out I was pregnant. That's always an interesting collect call from jail for my parents. They didn't quite understand how that happened, but I was having complications with my pregnancy because of the conditions of the jail and just the stress of the situation, and so the doctors petitioned the judge to let me out early on house arrest, and he agreed. So I got out of jail when I was 5 months pregnant with Desiree, and my situation looked completely horrible. It felt horrible, but ultimately God used those things to bring me right to my knees, where I would find His feet. So I guess Desiree was probably 18 months old, and Matt and I split up. And now I was a single mom too, on top of everything, and so I started going to church because I thought that would be a good thing for Desiree. And so I went for about 6 months before I made a commitment to follow the Lord, and I got baptized and dedicated Desiree to the Lord, and about 6 months after that, Matt came to know the Lord. I think through Desiree. And a few months after that, we got married. So that's the short version of my long story. But since then, things haven't been easy. We've had a lot of struggles. We've had life happen. And God has just really allowed us to find joy in all of the things we've been through, good and bad, through Jesus. We've been clean for 9 years now. Been married for 5 years this weekend, and we've had 3 more children, and one of them I was blessed to carry straight to the arms of Jesus. I didn't set out looking for God. He found me. He came and got me. He saved me from myself. He gave me ears to hear and eyes to see. He loved me long before I ever even knew who he was or ever desired to. And, every single day he continues to show me that he loves me.